Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back with another United Daily. Hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are right now, whether you're on lockdown at home or I don't know where you're at right now. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And welcome to the show. If you didn't know, this is a daily show. We kick off every single day giving you the latest Manchester United news. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and also joining the channel now as well. You can join the channel just like VJ Dharma and Chad Ferrand, who are the newest members of AdamMcKola TV. So thank you very much to those guys for joining us here on AdamMcKola TV. But for now, let's get stuck into the latest news on what are the headlines surrounding Manchester United. There's not much floating about today in the way of news, in like new news. News is supposed to be new. Something that we didn't know yet. Something that, you know, has popped up and we're like, wow, look at that, that's going on. But there's not much of that happening at the moment. But nevertheless, there's still a lot to talk about. Fabrizio Romano was talking yesterday in a podcast, giving updates on Paul Pogba's future after we had saw some rumours circulated in Spain and in Italy in the last week surrounding Paul Pogba's future. So we'll be looking at Fabrizio Romano's latest comments on Paul Pogba. We'll also be looking at, you know, Manchester United's measures to help the NHS, the ones that they've announced. There's some articles this morning as well saying Manchester United may have an issue getting Shanghai Shenhua to agree to the FIFA regulations in terms of extending loan deals, and we know someone's deal has been extended already, and that's Timothy Fosu-Mensah's deal. His deal was extended yesterday live on United Daily as we were live. So that's what's happening at the moment in the world of Manchester United, and we will be of course checking everything else out. But first things first is that Paul Pogba story, and we'll get stuck into that as soon as I've given a few of you guys a shout out in those comments. We got Dara, we got Lee, we got Will, we got Mark, we got Connell, Shivesh, Omar, Francie Brady, P Savage, Glenn. Both of those guys, the last two guys, are members. Josh Brown, you know what's certain in these uncertain times. McKola going live at 12 o'clock. Bless. Yes, that's the only thing that is certain at the moment, and that is keeping me sane and keeping me in a little bit of a routine. It's good to have that at the minute. Today is the anniversary as well. 13 years ago since United beat Roma 7-1. So I'll be telling you about my day, that day, as I was at the game. I didn't just start going for YouTube, contrary to reports. I was at that game in 2007, watching United beat Roma 7-1. So we'll talk about my story of that day a little bit later on. But let's get stuck into the latest on Paul Pogba. We all want to know what is the latest, what is going on with Paul Pogba. Is he going to be at Manchester United next season, or is he going to be leaving and heading to Real Madrid or Juventus? Well, recently in Italy we heard reports that Juventus weren't in a position to be actually stumping up the funds to make Paul Pogba one of their own. They weren't in the position to be doing that. They didn't have the funds available. They would have to sell around 3 or 4 players just to make the move happen, and they weren't very, you know, likely to do that. There was talk about Dybala again and things like that, and we saw what's happened with Dybala in the past. Look, the COVID-19 crisis is going to hit everybody hard. It's going to hit everybody hard. We know that. But it's going to hit these Serie A clubs and La Liga clubs a little bit more. Even the likes of Juventus and Real Madrid. We heard Ole Gunnar Solskjaer yesterday speaking about how United were hoping to exploit the transfer market and maybe, you know, get a few signings a little bit cheaper, or get signings that they maybe wouldn't have thought were available before this had happened because of the amount of money clubs are losing on. They may look to recoup that in player sales. So United coming out and saying that kind of shows their strength in this position. Not all clubs are going to have that luxury. And even if they weren't at a disadvantage in the sense that they have to sell a load of players, are they going to be interested in spending £100 million, €100 million plus on one player in one position when they maybe need to strengthen elsewhere as well? So that is obviously the thing that comes to mind in regards to Real Madrid, Juventus, Paul Pogba. Can that move happen? The funds might not be there for it to happen. The willingness of the player to join either of those clubs, you know, we've heard it is a surprise if he wants to join them or he ends up at those clubs. And I've been pretty sure in my head that that's going to happen. Paul Pogba is going to be a Real Madrid or Juventus player in this summer. But now with this COVID-19 crisis and everything that's going on, they might not be in a position to buy him, and therefore he may be in a position to renew his contract at Man United, stay at the club, and who knows what we could build with the current team that we've got at the minute. So that's the current situation. Now, there were other rumours in Spain and Italy that Paul Pogba was unhappy that he could possibly stay at Manchester United and that he would look to pay out his contract. Now, Fabrizio Romano reported in that podcast that contrary to the gossip, Paul Pogba is not ready to buy out his contract in order to seal a move to either Real Madrid or Juventus. He's just not that keen on a move. Like, that is a pretty, like, last-ditch attempt in order to make a move happen, saying, I'll tell you what, I'll pay my way out of this deal. That isn't going to happen here. That's not going to happen. I don't think Paul Pogba would disrespect or disregard the club that much. And I don't actually think he wants to leave that much. I think he'd want to leave for trophies and success, and Real Madrid, Juventus, obviously massive clubs who are competing in the Champions League at the minute. United aren't. You can understand that from that aspect, but you can also understand if those moves can't happen, why he would stay, extend the deal, and could still have a positive future at the club. So, look, my gut feeling now is he's not going to leave, but things can change very, very quickly. And it's good to hear he's not going to be pushing and trying to force this move through, because Fabrizio Romano is fairly reliable. It's good to hear that those rumours and those gossip stories coming from Spain and Italy were just that. Obviously, this is going to rumble on. Obviously, we're going to hear from Mino Raiola. We're going to hear from his brother. We're going to hear some other sorts of nonsense. But we just need this one to end. And the only way it ends is with him either leaving or signing a new deal. And that's what Manchester United have to say to him. What do you want? Look, if you want to stay, here's a deal. Take that. Let's get this show on the road and let's start, getting serious about winning trophies. Not just him. That's not him. I'm not saying he hasn't been serious. But the whole club hasn't been serious on a whole. So you could have it in that sense. If not, let's just get rid, move on, replace him in the squad, and let's see how we can go from there. Look, I'm a massive fan of Paul Pogba. But any player that doesn't want to be here or doesn't want to commit to the club, then see you later. That's not to say I think he actually cares for United and wants to do well here. I think he'd be disappointed to be seen leaving as a failure if he did. And for that reason, he should stay, roll up his sleeves, get stuck in, and help us win some big trophies. Because with him around, it gets a little bit easier. A little bit easier. Stay and earn your money, Pogba. By all means, leave when your contract is up, says Colin. I can imagine United wouldn't want that to happen, but I understand your sentiment there. Yes, Keo, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. I need to see Pogba and Bruno play at least once as an epic HD. We do need to see that. If he does stay, he needs to make a commitment and make some statements. It might not be ethical, says Regatale. Amar says it might not be ethical, but who gives a shit? It's time for us to make big moves this summer while other teams have no money to spend. I haven't got a cold. I'm all good. What you mean I got a cold? You know something I don't? If he pays his contract out, he's a dick, says P Savage. And I agree with that, but I don't think it would come to that. Can you imagine the day United return? Pogba, Bruno, McTominay, Fred, Rashford, Marshall. I'm not sure he wants to go, and maybe he likes the project now with Ollie. Good morning, Robert. How you doing, mate? I hope you're well. Ramesa says Pogba has an assurance at United because of his contract, because of the COVID-19 crisis. So he'll most likely stay unless United sell him for pretty cheap, and that's a good point as well. But when will football resume again? We're building a team, yes, but how long till football is back on? Nobody truly knows when the football will return, do we? No one really knows when the football will return. What's the join button? If you hit the join button, Sam, you can become a member of AMTV. You get exclusive content on a monthly basis. You get emojis and all that kind of different stuff that you can use in the chat room. You can join us on our Discord forum server as well, where you'll be able to help choose topics for videos. You'll be able to get your questions in for Q&As, and you'll be able to ask questions when I manage to interview players and things like that. It's just a way you can support AdamMcKola TV. We're cranking things up at the minute. Another way you can support without joining, if you don't want to go that far, is, of course, just by hitting that subscribe button. So subscribe or join. Make sure you're doing at least one or both of them. We can sell him at a low price. I don't think we're going to sell him at a low price. Oliver says extend or go. And that is pretty much how we're all feeling at this moment in time, isn't it? Connell says, what's your ideal transfer window? So we get rid of Smalling, Jones, Rojo, maybe like a Pereira, possibly a Lingard, possibly, but it depends on how many players come in, whether you let Lingard go, in my opinion. So if you see 4 or 5 of those players there are going to leave, you can recoup probably about 40, 50, 60 million. I think if Lingard would probably be the most valuable player out of all of those. Smalling, you probably get 20 million, 25 million fee for. Jones, probably about a £10 million fee. Rojo, probably less or the same. You're looking at around, you know, not much, 40, 50 million on the bottom line. So if you recoup that kind of money, and then you bought, say, a Jadon Sancho. So now let's say we've recouped 40 million. You spend 120 million euros, 110, 100 million pounds on him. You've spent about 70 million quid. Then you permanent up Ighalo's deal. Yeah? Make that permanent. That's probably going to be 15, 20 million. So now you spent about 100 million. And United will probably have about 50 million left to spend. If that's the case, they'd probably look to spend that on Jack Grealish. I would think a defensive midfielder would be the most sought after player in that position, in that regard, because I'm not sure about giving Matic a deal. But it looks like we're going to go with maybe a Grealish, Sancho. I think Sancho, Ighalo's staying. Ighalo's staying, Sancho's going to happen, possibly. 9 out of 10 sure. And then Grealish, I think it may be a case of if Pogba goes or not. I don't know with that one. I would have him even if Pogba stayed, but I don't know where the club's head is at with that one. I also think that Pogba sees that we're going in the right direction now to be challenging for trophies soon, says Glenn. Just jumped on Adam. Any chance of a recap, says Rise Up. Of course, mate, you can get a recap. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button as well. Get subscribing, get commenting, get sharing, get joining. The recap on today's news so far is Paul Pogba. What is the latest? Fabrizio Romano has been commenting in a recent podcast where he was discussing the Paul Pogba move and discussing the recent rumours in relation to Paul Pogba's future. There were rumours linking him with Real Madrid, Juventus, some even saying that he may buy out his contract to make that move happen. But Fabrizio Romano reports that that isn't a possibility. Paul Pogba isn't looking on buying out his contract to make a move happen. So that's where we are with this. At the moment, Real Madrid, Juventus might not be able to stump up the cash. So United may be able to get Paul Pogba tied down to a new deal. Who knows? We have to wait and see what happens with that one. Do you think a director of football will ever happen? Probably not. It's often brief, but never happens. What is your view on Ndidi, says Aaron J. I think he's a fantastic player. Again, the kind of player that would come in and do that job for us, the party. Ndidi, those are the kind of players you need to be looking at in that position. I think McTominay and Fred are great, but they're not DMs, out and out DMs, you know what I mean? And if you're going to play a 4-3-3 with a Pogba and a Bruno, in my opinion, you need an out and out DM. You can't just have 3 8s in there, or 2 8s and a 10, unless you're playing really attacking. Other news is United have announced some measures to help the NHS. Obviously, we've heard the footballers as a whole have come together to raise some funds for the NHS, and that's obviously great news. It's great to hear that. And United have announced some measures in terms of providing staff, vehicle, food, facilities, etc. to NHS staff and NHS centres in order to help them out through this difficult time. So that's great to see the football community, not just Manchester United, coming together to help out in this time of need. Fingers crossed those in higher places do just that. Manchester United, we've got an update coming in the last 7 minutes from Odion Ighalo. Now, Odion Ighalo's got about 7 weeks left on his deal, his loan deal. And he says Manchester United are yet to make an extension offer. Odion Ighalo, who's revealed there is no offer on the table yet from Manchester United over extending his stay at the club beyond his current loan spell. The striker made an encouraging start to life at United following his surprise deadline day move from Shanghai Shenhua prior to the suspension of the Premier League. United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has since hinted that Ighalo could be kept at the club beyond the end of the current campaign, but the 30-year-old says an offer is yet to be formalised. There is no offer on the table yet, Ighalo said, because the season is still on and I'm yet to finish my loan deal. I don't just take decisions alone in my life. I have a principle and I have a guideline for everything I do. I always pray to God to direct me. I have seen many tweets about a pay rise at Shanghai. I've seen so many people going crazy saying, go back to China. Some say stay with Man United. Have you seen me say a word? I don't have to say anything. When the season is finished and I get 2 offers from the 2 teams, then I will sit and think about it, pray about it, and whatever God says I should do, I will go with that. I don't just sit down and take decisions, and I don't get carried away with whatever people say. I came to United to play for a pay cut because I wanted to, so anything could happen, but I want the season to finish and my loan to finish, then I will see everything I have. You don't just rush and do things, I'm going here, I'm going here. I have to sit down and finish the season well. Sit down with my agent, see what's on the ground, A, B, C, D is on the ground. Okay, we have to pick. It looks like he's taking it in his stride at the moment. He's not getting too bogged down with everything. I think Manchester United will sign him. I think we should sign him. And I think Odion Ighalo is obviously playing his cards close to his chest there in that interview a little bit. But I mean, online and things like that, whenever anyone's tweeted him, when he's been doing his Q&As and things, he's been well open to saying, look, I'd love it. I'd love to join on a permanent deal. So we know he wants to stay as a Manchester United player. Whether he does or doesn't remains to be seen. But great news from Ighalo in terms of his tweets, but not so great news in terms of no offer yet. But then, would you expect there to be an offer yet when there's 7 weeks left of the loan deal? We don't yet know what's going on with the season, when the season's going to restart. Maybe we just have to wait for that. So Odion Ighalo there says there's been no offer made. There was another story as well before we went on air where United were unsure whether Shanghai Shenhua would be open to FIFA's regulations where they automatically extend the loan deals. So United would have to discuss that with Shanghai Shenhua. Tian says Ighalo wants to play for the badge, would be best to keep him. He has been nothing but class since he came, just what we need, says Tom. Thoughts on Fosu Mensah and Angel Gomez, says Ross. And Shivesh has also got a question on Fosu Mensah, whose contract was extended yesterday. Now, obviously, we've heard rumours linking Diogo Dalot with a potential move away to Spurs. Rejoining up with Jose Mourinho and so on. Now, I don't think there's much in that, but paper talk. But if there was something in that, and Diogo Dalot did leave, then you have to look at, okay, what's going to happen in terms of who's going to shift up the pack, and it'll probably be Timothy Fosu Mensah. Obviously, you've got Ethan Laird, who can come in and provide cover as well. Brandon Williams. We've got Luke Shaw as a fullback, Wan-Bissaka. So you look at that and you think Fosu could potentially provide cover at right back, provide cover at central defensive midfield. If Dalot stays, it's hard for him to get anywhere near those fullback positions. Could potentially provide cover for Nemanja Matic in the central defensive midfield position. But it's an interesting one. His last 2 loan deals have been scuppered by injury and by various different things. He hasn't had the best of luck. He hasn't been playing a lot of football. He needs to play football. Is he going to get the time to do that at United? No. Probably not, but a loan move as well. Like, I think he kind of needs an opportunity to open up for him at United, doesn't he? And not that I would wish injury on anyone, touch wood, but just saying Nemanja Matic got injured or a midfielder got injured and he came in and he did well. You never know what that says for him. Would you loan out Levitt and Garner as well, says Vashab? I'm not sure what the situation is with them yet. Maybe we've given Matic a deal because we've got a idea towards giving them game time and rotating with Matic, but again, we've only seen them once this season. Has there been a major shift in our transfer policy, or is it a flash in the pan? I think there has been a shift in our transfer policy, I do. And I think Ali is the big reason for that. I don't think it's anything to do with Woodward or Glazer or anything like that. I think it's to do with him. Has there been... Okay, I've read that one. Chicken dippers. Why is Amar talking about the Ali G film? Is that when he's locked to the gate? Chicken dipper! That's a great film, that is. Yeah, 13 years since Manchester United beat Roma 7-1 at Old Trafford. What a day that was. What a day that was. We lost 2-1 in the first leg. Obviously, there was trouble in the stands with the police, United fans, Roma fans, all sorts of madness going on at the stadium. And United lost. And when they came back to Old Trafford, there was a sense of revenge in the air. And I remember how old was I at that time? 18, well, probably 17 at the time, turning up to Old Trafford. And I remember on the forecourt, like there was Roma fans, United fans clashing, flares getting thrown, glass bottles getting thrown, all sorts getting thrown around, police horses everywhere. That was mad. Nearly got headbutted by a police horse, which was good fun. As it turned around, I tried to scarper out the way, and then obviously going into the game and watching Manchester United beat Roma 7-1, and it wasn't just, you know, we beat, like, you know, when we beat AC Milan 4-0 and they didn't really have much of a team anymore. Yeah, they had a few great names and that kind of thing, but there wasn't a great team there, and you knew, like, you were beating a name, but you weren't beating a great team. But that Roma side actually was a pretty good team. They'd just beaten us 2-1. They had the likes of Totti, Daniele De Rossi in their side, and we battered them, absolutely battered them. It was coming of age at that season for Rooney and Ronaldo and Evra, and Carrick scoring, Evra scoring, Ronaldo, Rooney, Smith scoring as well. It was a mad day at Old Trafford, incredible day at Old Trafford, and one of those Champions League nights you'll never ever forget. And just around that time we kind of got to see that team blossom, didn't we? Because the following season they went on to win it. And that year we had the AC Milan, I think it was 3-2 at Old Trafford. Went there, got battered 3-0. Seedorf absolutely bossing it. But it's just good times, man. Yeah, there was a lot of attacks on United fans in Rome. A lot of attacks. Some of it was the police, some of it was Roma fans. 7-1 game was pure revenge, Phil. Can't wait to get the Champions League nights back at Old Trafford. Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Have United offered Sanchez to Shanghai Shen where they might have a player we need? Tom, I don't think Shanghai are going to want to pay his wages, unfortunately. And the talk is at the moment that he's not going to take a wage reduction, which is a bit of a ball ache. I miss Carrick, says Dara. What a player. What a player. I remember when United signed him and I remember thinking, wearing Keno's number is a good player, but is he that good? And coming in, and I think his first game he come off the bench against Watford. Am I right in thinking that? And yeah, he settled eventually and he just looked amazing. Today Man United was supposed to be back training. Did they extend it for another week? They must have extended it when the extension was made to, because remember the football was also supposed to start on April the 30th, or start to return, and that's not happening now. That's been extended, so you'd expect training would have been extended as well. Get your questions in, guys. We're going to be wrapping up this stream very, very soon. Get your questions in before we head out. Jamie Vardy's never going to sign for Man United. They want to pay Ighalo 400k. Surely they've got the cash, says Mohammed. I'm not sure what the situation is in China at the moment. There was rumour of a salary cap. Are they going to want to give... Ighalo's actually... Excuse me. Ighalo's actually decent. Are they going to give that kind of money to Sanchez, who hasn't really done much? Probably not. The German league's back to training. Nice. Are they getting back to football anytime soon? Is there any talk about that? Yes, Abhishek, how you doing, mate? Best United loan deal, Henrik Larsson or Ighalo? It has to be Henrik Larsson, but Ighalo's not been too badly. Just when we needed it as well. Just when we needed it. Adam, you must watch the Firefly Funhouse match. I watched it. I'm still confused till this day. I thought they were paying him 400 grand before he came in. I think Ighalo's on like 300 grand a week. We're paying 100 grand a week of that, I believe. Yeah, he's not on 300. He's not on 400 grand a week at the moment. That was the rumours, but I'm sure there's like some talk about there being a salary cap. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. Don't get it at all, guys. Get hitting that like button, commenting, sharing, subscribing to AdamMcKola TV as well. We hit 69k recently, giggity goo, and we're trying to hit 75k by the end of May. That gives us about 8 weeks to do about 6k. Surely we can do that, but I can only do that with your help. So get subscribing, get joining as well. We've got 22 people joining at the moment. We're trying to hit 50 by the end of this month. Can you help me do that by clicking the join button? Check it right now. Thank you for joining us here on AdamMcKola TV. Zio, how you doing? Thank you for jumping in. Hope you're well. Netflix recommendations. Aaron Hernandez, Doc's good. The Tiger King, obviously. I watched The Young Offenders on there the other day. That was pretty funny. I like that. Pretty cool. Who's funnier, Specs or Miles? Sam asks. Who's funnier, Specs or Miles? I've got to say Specs, yeah, because Specs, I think, is a special breed of person, man. He's a great character, and he's absolutely he's different, and he's influenced a lot of people, picking up a lot of his no rules thing and all, just all that kind of stuff. Specs is a different gravy, but Miles deserves a mention. Miles has come of his own in the last season on Filthy Fellas, and he's a good lad as well. He's a good lad, and he's a funny geezer, sometimes without even knowing it. I think Specs is very clever. Specs knows what he's doing, you get me? He's very clever. Sometimes you feel like Miles doesn't know what he's doing. But yeah, they're both good lads, man. I got a lot of time for both of them. I used to love working with them as well. And JD stuff till man got cancelled. But who cares? We're still grinding. You make these days easier, man. Keep up the good work and stay safe, says Glenn. Will do, brother. Hit the like before you guys go, says Minnie. Thank you very much, Minnie. Doing your jizzarb in there on the mod button. Thank you for United Daily, mate, and for all the videos, says Jeremy. No problem, man. No problem at all. I've been enjoying it. It's helping keeping me sane and keeping me going. So thank you guys very, very much. Make sure you're keeping it locked to AdamMcKola TV. Later on today, we've got an 8 PM video with me and Dean. We've got a straight up MUFC, and you can get your topics in now on the premium Discord. So if you want to join, you still got time to join the Discord and get your topics in. I'm doing tomorrow. We got a FIFA video, United Daily. Sunday we got United Daily and McKola and Housen's Pod to Nowhere. Steve's giving me a shout in about an hour, and we're doing something for something. Not sure what it's for, if it's for full-time Devils or whatnot, but we're going to get some content out there anyway. So make sure you're keeping it locked, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Cress Welsing, how you doing, brother? You've joined us a little bit late, but if you have joined us a little bit late, make sure you're pulling up that video, rewind the video, make sure you get locked in. Check out the news on Paul Pogba, United's measures to help the NHS, Ighalo's future at Man United, and Fosu Mensah's contract extension, and our memories of that game against Roma in 2007 when United hit them for 7. I've been AdamMcKola. That has been the bottom line, because McKola said so. And for now, I'm out of here.